is great, and we've heard a lot of testimonials and a lot of work to be done by those that still haven't come to the observatory. That's been our sort of legacy since we got fully involved in creating programs and managing programs and delivering them on behalf of the city. Is, you know, a lot of people in the Richmond Hill are completely unaware of, even if they live, you know, on the back side of the observatory, they still don't even come to visit, which is a shame. Even right now with construction happening, I would strongly recommend just park along Hillsview Drive, or that's probably the safest place to do, or drive right inside. You can park in the parking lot. There's, you know, free parking lot inside the property right beside the buildings, and just get out and go for a walk, go to explore the place. There's not enough signage or information to explain what you're looking at. That's something that we're going to try to remedy in the years to come. But right now, just to immerse yourself in a real, it's a gem for Richmond Hill. I mean, it's, in terms of the fact, it's a natural space. There's still about 24 deer on the property that are resident deer. Nobody's put them there. They just decided it's a nice place to be. There's coyotes and foxes and all sorts of other wildlife on the property. And you will encounter them if you come early in the morning or late in the evening. There's a good chance that you'll come eye to eye with the deer that's scoping out. Certainly the fawns are very curious about humans. So there's lots to discover right in the middle of Richmond Hill. So from that very first perspective, forget about the astronomy. Just come to see it as a beautiful place and a nice green space to come visit. But after that, there's so much more that's tied into this, Canadian history and international history that's tied in the facility. As somebody pointed out, the first known black hole was in fact discovered, not followed up on, but it was actually discovered by Dr. Tom Bolton from research carried out in 1971 and published in January 1972 to introduce to the world that he had just confirmed that there's an object in our universe that we now know is a black hole. Of course, nobody believed him. He was a brand new PhD astronomer at that point, and so they said, "Don't call us, we'll call you, Tom." But by 6 months later, with other people following up on him, they realized he was right. So he never backed down on that one. So that's a shining example of Canadian ingenuity and being ready for the opportunity that presented itself. There's a long story behind that, and we're not going to do that today, of course. But that's just the starting point. And long before that, Dr. Helen Hogg is one of the premier astronomers in Canada, the head of the Canadian Astronomy Association when it first founded back in the 60s. She was one of the first two astronomers beyond Dr. Chant himself to actually observe with the 74-inch telescope in 1935. They were wooed over from the DDO in Victoria, where they were doing good work there. And of course, she was a woman, and women at telescope at nighttime in 1935, that's a no-no. But her husband was also a professional astronomer, so she had no problems. And in fact, she turned everything upside down by simply saying, "This is stupid," politely. And so a woman's bathroom appeared, and all sorts of other stuff that wasn't there from the start suddenly happened because she was probably the most productive astronomer at the observatory for the first several decades, bar none. So she, like that story about her dropping a purse down, the purse is still on the platform in the 74-inch dome as a matter of respect for her. It's sitting there waiting for her ghost to lower it back down and do some more observing. So there's so many beautiful stories about the people and the places that the observatory connects with. It's still a fairly functional telescope. We are trying to bring back in science observing. We've done some pilot projects already in the last 2 years that we've been there. Pluto is just heading back away from the sun. Its orbit's highly elliptical. So the fact that it has an atmosphere where the temperature is 240 degrees below zero in the shade or in the full sunshine doesn't make much difference. The fact is that everything freezes out, but we are carrying out observations to try to show that it still has a residual atmosphere with the 74-inch telescope. So there's lots of research that the telescopes can still do. It's just a matter of funding would be nice, but so we're a volunteer organization. The David Dunlop Observatory Defenders were founded when the U of T basically announced that they were walking away from the observatory, and in fact were selling it to the highest bidder. And at that point, we saw all sorts of disasters where the observatory may in fact even be leveled for development. So we stepped up with other professional astronomers all the way through to just interested naturalists and citizens to defend on behalf of the observatory. So, and we've never dropped our mandate since, which is basically to preserve the history, of course. And so it's a cultural heritage landscape, one of the first two to use that Ontario legislation to designate it as such. The OMB hearings were a long, expensive, and very trying period for us and for the city and everybody else involved, but it preserved the property in perpetuum, so it's now designated almost immediately by the city of Richmond Hill. So you can't destroy it. So demolition by neglect is not going to happen, I pray. The observatory buildings are being restored, fairly expensive, but then I guess we have money available as the city of Richmond Hill to do that. The masonry is being restored right now in the administration building, and the paint has been stripped and is slowly being stripped on the main dome as well right now to recoat it. It's long overdue for that. Eventually, the metalwork will also be redone, so the outside facade is being restored to its glory days. So all of this is looking forward to the next 85 years of its existence and to become even more important in the eyes of the public. It's always been an outreach place where the public can come visit. So I apologize for those back in the 50s and so on. Those were sort of the lean years and the crossover. But from the day it opened, every summer, the observatory has been opening its doors on weekends to let the public actually look through the 74-inch telescope. So that's a hugely long legacy. I think there's only 1 or 2 years that's not happened. Recently, during the embattlement between the developers and the city of Richmond Hill, now the new owners, there was a little bit of a dry period where it was actually closed for a summer completely while the dust was sort of settling. But then even after that, while it was still in the hands of the developer, they allowed programs to continue. So it's a wonderful legacy in terms of outreach for astronomy and all sorts of other aspects of the natural world. And in terms of the cultural aspects, in terms of all the history that it's tied up with, David Dunlop himself is another completely different stream. The Timmins brothers and the mining industry in Canada is tied with David Dunlop. So there's just all sorts of aspects to the story that I'm not going to go any further because I'm talking too much. But for those that need to do some astronomy right now in this COVID-19 era, go outside tonight. The Perseid meteor shower peaks tonight. The moon doesn't rise until after midnight, so just get a nice recliner. I recommend a recliner where you're completely flat or almost flat so that you can look straight up. Don't have to look anywhere in the sky. Straight up is better than to the horizon. And you'll see maybe 1 a minute for shooting stars. So if you need to make a wish on one of those shooting stars, this is a good night to do it. The weather forecast is, I'm at the window and there's a bit of high haze, but it looks like it'll be okay tonight. So give it a try. And if it's not dark enough, we do have legislation in Richmond Hill to preserve the night. That's true. But it only gets, it's only strongly enforced if you guys complain that it's starting to get a little bit brighter. So far, it's been holding its own. But ultimately, it's the town that put in the legislation, and it's the town that's policing the legislation. So you have to keep reminding, like everything else, if you want it, you have to make sure that you let people know that you want it. So start with the Perseids tonight, and we are doing online programming during the interims. So we've actually got several presentations that we've done as a teaser just to show the kind of things that we do at the observatory. You can grab those at YouTube. We do streaming video. We'll probably do the next major event will probably be, if not sooner, it'll be in October, early October. Mars is at its closest to the Earth. So there's lots happening up in the sky, whether we're there to watch it or not. So I'll sort of back off a little bit and let Tuba give you an idea of the program.
Yeah, due to the COVID, we were closed, but we were just hyping up with the March break programs actually in March. We were just going to introduce new programs, but everything got halted due to COVID-19. So hopefully next March we will be able to have those for the kids. But in the meantime, last 2 years, since 2018, we have very successful programming. Through April, through October, we have every Friday and Saturday nights, we have astronomy speaker nights and astronomy family nights for people to come and enjoy and a nice talk and look through the telescope and see the building. So hopefully we will come back to that. And in the meantime, we have other various programs too, as DDO as well, as the Space Fund for little kids, 3 to 7-year-olds. And if you're interested in having a course, we have a program called Introductory Astronomy. You can join it. It's a 6-weekly course, runs through generally in the fall and or in the springtime. And we have also, like Ian said, Up in the Sky, seasonal talks that we talk about what's up in the sky. Either there are comets, there are planets, that an interesting object nearby you will be able to watch. And we have also, what else we have?
What telescope clinics?
Telescope clinics we have. If you have a telescope, you can bring, we assess it, if it's working or not, and we teach you how to use it. If you know how to use it, you have if you have more questions how to attach the instruments that to it, or we can tell you that, we teach you that too. And we have also, what else we have, Ian? Here is our flyer, just to show you, it's just an example. I can hand you, but we can, this is our, yes, flyer just showing the programs. So this is in our website called DDO.ca. We have a copy of this, so you can see that, get more information. We also, the Holidays at the Observatory program, March came into that one, right, March? Yes. Yeah, so it's a celebration through the music and the crafts and the arts and stuff, and a little talk, and a visitor talk is also provided. Go through all kinds of festivities, not just Christmas. We all go through all kinds of traditions.
Yeah.
So it was successful this year with Sandra Kirby coming and singing. It was very fun. So we invite singers and, you know, do songs, and it was quite good. We're hoping that, but I'm not sure this year it's going to happen again because of this COVID. Everything is got canceled. But we're, like Ian said, we're trying to do this Mars Madness event early October starting, and we're hoping to do some live presentation from the dome. So keep looking for us and watch our website for more information. We will send it as it's coming to Marge as well, so she can, you know, distribute. Yeah, like Ian said, there's a Perseid shower tonight. It's all through the next few days, and you can try and watching the if you can explain how the shower is happening.
Yeah, just we'll open it for questions in a second, but just to give you an idea, so the last couple of weeks, so since about mid-July, or actually early July through, there's been a comet up in the sky. Number 3 of the spectacular comets that we just recently discovered, and everybody went out to look at. So Comet Atlas was a dud. It fell apart as it rounded around the sun, so nothing was seen. And then there was Comet Swan, a few months later in February, that was supposed to be even better, and it fizzled. And then quite unexpectedly in March, we discovered a third comet, and comets are sort of, the chance of finding them are, anybody can find them if you just look, because they're unannounced. And it turned out to be one of the best comets in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years, similar to Hale-Bopp and Hyakutake. And yet probably you didn't know that was happening until it was already on the way out again. So, and that's something that from Richmond Hill, the park right across the street from where we are, at the bottom end of Richmond Hill, looking over Richmond Hill itself, no trouble seeing it naked eye. So, these are the kinds of things that we're trying to keep the people, not just here in Richmond Hill, but generally informed. So, unfortunately, we've not been keeping up because if we can't talk to you in person, it sort of slows the process down.
Yeah.
But now the idea here is that just stay tuned, and there's lots, and we're giving you direct access to the people that can, like us, that can advise you about what to look for, when to look for it. It's like I'm saying, just recliners in your backyard, a bit of tunes on your iPhone or whatever. It's just for music, keep you company. Make sure there's 2 chairs, you and your significant other. Lots of bug juice, lots of mosquito repellent, because they'll eat you alive otherwise. And beyond that, just turn out all the lights, porch lights, everything else around you. Make sure there's no street lights in your view, and just stare up. And you'll be amazed at how after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, don't go too soon, but give yourself 5 to 10 minutes for your eyes to dark adapt. And you'll see so much more. You'll see all the neighbors and everything else because your eyes will be used to the dark, but you'll see a lot more in the nighttime sky. Bring a pair of binoculars, so every now and then you can sort of put them up to your face and say, what's that fuzzy thing? And you can actually see that's a star cluster or the Milky Way, which passes not exactly overhead, but somewhat overhead by the end of the night. And you'll see shooting stars. And these things are bright enough that they're actually sometimes can cast shadows on the ground. Dead silent, of course, because they're 100 kilometers over your head. So don't get worried about getting hit by anything. But the idea here is that just start to participate and go out, because you don't need anything more than information and your eyeballs to see some of these things.
Very good. Thank you so much, Ian, Tuba. Fascinating. I really hope that all of us, we don't need to have kids to be interested in this, that we as ourselves, it's amazing what we have, and we should take advantage of it. So thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.